Ladies and gentlemen, legumes and germs, welcome to Game Spasm. This is Brian Hazard. Today we have a very special treat. We are going to be scrolling through the upcoming second edition for Riftbreakers, created by the mad lad Alex T., the man behind Black Oath Games. He is behind several games that you have probably heard of. Here is his website. And if we go up to the list, we have Across a Thousand Dead Worlds, which is currently my favorite sci-fi horror survival game. First edition of Riftbreakers, Broken Shores, which is a drowned survival horror. Under Ashen Skies, post-apocalyptic. Ruthless Heavens, Boundless Fate, lit RPG, and probably his most known game, Caer Nathalis, Into the Midnight Throne. Alex makes all of his games to be playable in solo or co-op or with a GM. And coming up soon here on Kickstarter, we are going to have the treat of seeing the Riftbreakers Second Edition. If you're familiar with the first edition of Riftbreakers, you know that the whole idea behind this game is to create an MMORPG tabletop experience for the player. So it gives you the feeling of having several abilities and crafting and scrounging and having various missions, going back to town, getting new equipment, that whole thing. So what we're going to be doing today is taking a look at the second edition. Alex has generously given us a copy of the game. We are going to take my mug off of the screen here so that you can see the book exclusively, and we're going to scroll through everything that's available. He has asked me to give a couple of caveats here before we start our scrolling adventure. A couple things to know. Wow, there's now nothing on the screen. That is boring. All right, so a couple of things to keep in mind. This is an alpha document, which means it's not the complete game. There are 2 chapters still missing, Gear and Loot, and the Bestiary, which is going to add another 100 pages onto the already 250 plus pages, I think, that are here. Everything is still subject to change. Even if it's already in the book, there's still a lot of playtesting to be done. Most of the artwork is still missing. What you see here, I think you're really going to like. I know I do. So there are gray boxes in the places where the illustrations are going to go. And backers will get Beta 1 once the Kickstarter campaign ends and the funds have cleared, so somewhere around the 10th of June. The beta will include all the missing parts, barring any potential stretch goals that we unlock during the campaign. Those will be added to the book shortly thereafter. When I say we, I mean him, not me. He also wanted to point out that this book is 7 by 10. Instead of 5.5 by 8.5 like the first edition of the game was. So there are some differences, and when I notice them or think of them, I will point them out as we go through this. But like I said, let's get my mug off the screen and let's get going here. I'm going to try to keep this video short so that you guys can get a good grasp of what the book looks like, so that you can make the correct decision. The correct decision being backing the Kickstarter and getting yet another one of Alex T's fantastic books. So right here you get an example of the art that is in this new book. The art is being done, it is bespoken art, and it is by, I should have looked before. I didn't have to look, I already showed you, it's right here. So he's very happy with the art, as am I. I think the art is distinctive and it's very cool. So I cannot comment on every single page, or we will never make it through, as this document is, 200 plus pages, but this gives you a chance to see it. This is some differences from the original Riftbreakers is that this is no longer only player facing, so there are going to be rolls done for the enemies that you go against. However, something that is similar to the original one is that this is classless character creation. You can create whatever you want. You've got MMO-like gameplay with random loot, encounters, loadouts, and crafting. There's also a interesting way of handling combat here, which is going to be built around the idea of the ability loadout. Basically, Alex is doing something I've never seen before in a role-playing game, which is he is incorporating a deck-building, hand management aspect to the combat in this game. This is a total departure from the first edition, and something really cool that makes this game stand aside, or it sets this game aside from other games that are out there. Another example of the fantastic art gives you some information about the different stats and attributes for the characters. A excellent list of skills that can be from 0 to 80. This is a D100 system for rolling these. Proficiencies are related to weapon and armor. And hearts, similar to the first edition of the game, hearts are basically the types of abilities or powers that you can get during the game. Think of them as kind of, you know, how would I think of it? How about I just read the page where it says there are a collection of powers grouped around a theme or a playstyle? Thank you, Alex. So what's interesting is you can take abilities from any number of different hearts, and you get these through assimilating crystallized hearts and then using heart essences to unlock additional abilities within each heart. Every player is going to have an ability loadout that has 12 spots available in it. So you can learn as many abilities as you want, but you can only ever have 12 on your loadout. You can change which abilities are in your loadout at different times. I think it's once every 24 hours with a little bit of downtime to do so. So this is going into a list of all the different hearts. One thing you'll notice if you're familiar with the first edition of the game is that there is a greater variety of hearts that are available, and each one has its own theme. So we've got the arcane heart for raw, unfiltered magical energy. And by the way, each heart also has combat skills, which have this little arrow next to it that are only usable in combat. And then some of them also have non-combat abilities that are used outside of combat. So we have the arrow heart for agility, precision, and tactical ranged combat. And again, this is all alpha, so any of this is subject to change, but I think it's super important for you guys to get a look at what this game looks like. I mean, I'm absolutely getting a copy of it. This is right up my alley. We have the Bastion Heart for the Ultimate Protector. It's your tank heart. Alex, don't call it Tank Heart. This is Bastion Heart's definitely a better name. The Blade Heart for melee combat with swift calculated strikes with a blade. The Death Heart for necrotic energies and manipulation of life force. I'll absolutely be digging into that a little bit. I love that Alex has provided flavor text for every single ability. It's fantastic. More of the great art. We have the Devastation Heart for relentless raw power and unyielding aggression. The Elemental Heart for primal forces of nature. Raw power of fire, water, earth, and air. So we have a number of those. Somewhat similar to the Arcane Heart. The Might Heart is raw strength and relentless aggression. With a lot of focus on combat, especially like the ability to summon a two-handed weapon. Restoration Heart for the healers. Now keep in mind, this is a game that can be played solo, but it can also be played cooperatively, which means you can have a group of NPCs or PCs together, meaning you might want to create a set of a team that works well together by mixing up the abilities. You have your Ritual Heart for intricate magical practices, and long-lasting effects and complex rituals. That's pretty cool. We have that here. The Shadow Heart for stealth, subterfuge, and precision. And the Time Heart, which is a really neat idea for temporal manipulation, bending the flow of time. Okay, so after that we get into creating your character. It gives you an idea of... and yeah, by the way, the reason I'm doing spread view instead of single page view is that sometimes I want you guys to get an idea of what the spreads will look like. I think any book is done a disservice if you're not able to see what a full 2-page spread looks like before you buy. So no one page at a time nonsense over here. All right, so we have little options for how your appearance might be. Gives you details on how to create your character, but it also has a lovely little sort of narrative tutorial that's happening at the same time in italics as you're doing this. And again, page numbers are missing still, art is missing still. There's going to be additions to that as we go. So it's giving you ideas on how to increase your skills gives you some crystallized hearts to pick so that you're choosing your abilities. You get your heart essences in order to do that. This is a fun aspect of the game because we're trying to have an MMORPG. You've got achievements, and in these achievements, basically you pick an achievement path, and then you can work on any of the achievements in your path at any given time. You can even like stop working on one path and move over to another path. But if you're not done, like if I'm on the path of slaughter and I'm working on brutal finisher and I didn't finish it yet, then haha, that was an accidental pun. Then I would not get this ability. But you get a reward for each one, and when you finish a path, there is a special reward at the bottom of each path for finishing the entire thing, which is a great way to sort of emulate the unlocking of things in an MMO RPG. Okay, so we have some information on skill improvement and how that works. This is a great piece of art. I really like this guy. This guy's having a rough day. You know, arrows in the head, normal Tuesday night. Okay, so information on the core rules, how you do difficulty checks, opposed checks, critical successes and fumbles. A lot of this is what you're familiar with. Love this advantage and disadvantage system he's come up with. When you have advantage in this game, you roll your D100 like you usually would, except you pick the lower number as the tens column and the higher one as the ones, because this is a roll under system. And so instead of rolling whatever extra dice and choosing one, you're just actually picking whichever is the lower die to be the tens digit, and that gives you the advantage, and then do the opposite for disadvantage. Really neat idea. I'm not sure I've seen that before. Alex is a fan of usage dice, so am I. This is a great way of keeping track of time or inventory or ammunition or food or whatever you need it to do without having to actually have little boxes on your sheet all over the place. Basically, you know, you have a certain size die, you roll it. If you roll a 1 or 2, then you drop it to the next lower die. And this is an abstracted way to keep track of things such as timers and inventory. Good stuff. Combat. This is the meat and potatoes. This is really interesting the way that this works. You have your ability loadout of 12 different things. When you, at the start of your turn, you draw abilities, and you draw until you have 5 in your quote-unquote hand. He is going to be offering cards to allow you to do this with a deck of cards. Those will be available through DriveThruRPG. You could also do it with a regular deck of cards, just using the first 12 cards from a poker deck to represent the loadout. And you can have multiple versions of certain abilities in your loadout. I don't want to bog this down too much, but you get the idea. This is a great system that I have never seen before, that merges tabletop RPG with deck building and hand management. As a tabletop gamer, I love deck builders. I don't know if that's a hot take or not, but this is very appealing to me. I'm very interested to see how this plays out in practice. Zone-based combat in this game, so you're not doing hexes, you're just doing zones to determine range for melee and other attacks. Initiative is fairly straightforward. Okay, we give an example of this gray box is beautiful. I love this gray box. Look at how nice this is. I can't wait to see what goes here. We have information on engagement, armor, forms of defense. Yep, dual wielding is here. I know some people miss it. I know Scarlet Heroes is, I would love to see dual wielding, but Alex does not leave us hanging. We have dual wielding right here. Also, very much like an MMORPG, we have lots of damage types. So there is all sorts of interesting intricacies of damage types here, some of which, such as psychic and void damage that ignore all protection, which is pretty cool. We have the ability for critical strikes and fumbles, information on various conditions that you can get during the game. Companions is a great aspect of this. So, think of like pawns in Dragon's Dogma. You've got your ability to have companions that come with you to keep you safe. Each PC can have one companion. So if you have more than one PC in your party, you could have more than one companion, just one each. But each companion has a different type of role and their various stats, and based on the type of role that they are, that will give them some different modifiers to their stats, and this is their action table. So you'll roll on this, and you get an idea of their combat strategy. So you've got the Protector, the Controller, the Executioner, and the Mender. The companions have abilities that get added to your ability loadout when they get summoned. So they give you sort of like a, for lack of a better word, a passive ability. And then these are just some passive traits that they give you that you can have for them. They also have a way to improve the companions. And, of course, we have names. Now, Alex is known for providing solo tools in all of his games, and this one is no exception. If you are familiar with the machine gods of the Noxian Expanse or Across 1,000 Dead Worlds, then you'll be familiar with these tools. Like we said, this is alpha, so yes, this table will get fixed. He is aware of the wonkiness of this D6 table with 4 options on it. No picking on Alex. This is a very rough draft. But it gives you information on how to create scenes, having yes or no questions answered with your oracle over here, and the ability to add complications. This is a great table for surprise events. So you're rolling 2d8 to find out what kind of event, and then what the nature of that event is. It also gives you information on updating story arcs and how to sort of run your narrative in your solo RPG. And then, of course, we have the soul of solo RPGs. Thank you very much. I'll be here all week. The action and theme tables that give you a way to basically answer open-ended questions for yourself while you're being your own GM, which is a fantastic tool. We've got some interpreting events or actions, a basic table for just random resolution of things that are happening. We've got tracking of events and using the usage die mechanic to do so. So you're using the usage die not only for inventory and that sort of thing, but you can also use it to track events. Then Alex gives us some NPC tables that are super handy when playing solo. There are a lot of tools out there, but I appreciate that Alex attempts to give you... Alex succeeds in giving you everything you need to play these games by yourself without having to, go find yet, another tool that you have to take out in order to play his games. So we've got initial reaction of non-rift creatures. We've got characters' emotional state, the reaction detail, their gender, their age, what are they doing, their motivation, their descriptor. So tons of information to create your NPCs. I cannot wait to see what this gray box is going to be. No, wait. This gray box is huge. This is going to be the best gray box. This is going to be the best art right here, everybody. Pay attention to page 98 when the game comes out. This right here, I've declared this will be the best art. No pressure, Alex and company. Now you get into the details. This is great. Alex is fantastic at creating pictures in my mind. He's a fantastic author, and this gets into the history of Cathor. I've never heard him say it, but I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce the name of the place is Cathor, and the city in Cathor is Karhelos. This explains the background of the land, what the rifts are, and what happens when things come through the rifts. We, as players, are strangers. I love the idea that this game just leans right into the video game trope of, like, look, these new people just appeared, and they seem to know what they're doing automatically. Perfectly fine. I love that. That's exactly how it works in the video games. So it gives you some background on the strangers. That's us, the hearts and power. And then it gets into all the different regions of Cathor, which is great. Gives you tons of details so that when you're running your game, and I just keep thinking of this as a solo game. I know that you can play with groups, but I'm going to play it solo, so this just gives me tons of meat on the bone for coming up with my own idea of what I see and smell and feel when I walk into these locations. Here's a great little map. Let's give a little zoom on that bad boy right there, huh? There's a little map of Cathor, so you can see all the different locations. The Bonespire Peaks, Arthas Forest, the Mudbloom Marshes, Lake Moonlight. This is Karhelos. This is like the main city that you go back to in between quests. This is the labyrinth where the heroes all kind of come out of, and then this is the Crystal Plains. Oh, and the Violent Sands. Violet Sands. I've been reading that as Violent Sands this entire time. Okay. The crystal plains are amazing. These crystals are unlike any others found in the world. They are known to attract lightning during thunderstorms. The skies above the plains light up with brilliant flashes of lightning, illuminating the crystal formations and creating awe-inspiring sights. Oh my god, that's so good. I love it. Okay, don't get distracted. Here's a map of Karhilos and all the different areas that are in here. Really great art. All right, so some details on the different quarters and locations within Karhilos. We also get into city factions, which is great. We have a handful of factions, and we also have a handful of organizations. He gives you information on how to do your urban encounters, so things that you encounter there. How does it begin? Urban events or backgrounds. How to travel. Oh, sorry, totally different. We're getting into now traveling across Kathor, so this gives you information on effectively a hex crawl. I'm pretty sure the noise you just heard was Alex responding to my question of how to properly pronounce Caer Nathalis. Let's see what he says. Basically, Alex said that I said it correct. Caer Nathalis is the correct. Good job, everybody. Anyways, this gives you information on the sort of the hex crawl of moving along the land. And now we get into this, once again, fantastic solo play tools here. Basically, every time you travel, you might have a noteworthy encounter, an interesting find, or a combat encounter. Gives you information on if you need a random direction. We have, for each one of these, noteworthy encounter, interesting find, and combat table. For each area that he described on the map above, you've got a table. So you've got the Arn Mist Forest has noteworthy encounters, interesting finds, and combat encounters. Bone Spire Peaks has the same thing. Now, I don't want to read these because at some point I'm going to be playing this game and I love to be surprised. So I don't want to read these at all. I'm going to scroll. So if you want to peek, you can. Go ahead and pause and peek if you want. All these are subject to change. And I don't want to ruin the fun, so I'm not going to peek. Here we are in Karhilos now. We're in the city. Interesting finds, combat encounters. Okay. And we have Mudbloom Marsh. He put these in alphabetical order, if you're wondering, which is kind of, I appreciate that. Then you have the Violet Sands, not the Violent Sands. And now we have the section, again, sort of as a homage to MMORPGs, we have questing. The questing board is the equivalent of the Adventurers Guild in town, and this is where you can go to get different quests. These are the different rewards you can earn for the quests, and these are the different quest types you can do. You also earn reputation, which will then allow you to get some rewards here. Every time you finish a quest, you get +1 reputation. And I love that Alex has made it so that, like, if you're really going to town, if you're going to grind out some quests, you can really get, High Warden is 80. That's 80 quests later, baby. That's good stuff. So each quest type has some details. So escort, delivery, monster hunt, patrol, rift closure. Some are more straightforward than others. I love the idea of a monster hunt. For some reason, that really appeals to me. So does Rift Closure, because Rift Closure is dungeon crawling, ladies and gentlemen. This is don't let Alex try to fool you. These are the equivalent of dungeons. So you're going in, except let me correct myself. They're the equivalent of dungeons, but they are far more diverse and expansive because you can have each time you go into a rift, you're going to have a completely different dominion. So lava fields, forests, sky islets, thousands of islands, time-worn ruins, frozen wasteland. Oh, it's so evocative. I love it. So each time you go in, look at this. Look at this. Pretend the art is here. This is amazing. This is what the frozen wasteland looks like. Actually, if it was snowing, maybe this is hardy har har. All right. Please stay on track. Good grief. Focus. And so we have the frozen wasteland and gives you some information. And then you have, for every area, you have overall description, area feature, dangers, and monsters. So, Infinite Desert, same thing. Overall description, area feature, deserts, or dangers and monsters. And this is great. Like, you would have to play the holy heck out of this game to ever get to the point that you see or run into all this stuff and just have really weird luck to be able to roll the same thing twice. So here we go. Going through the 1,000 Islands here. I know it's like, sorry for the clickiness of the scroll, but I don't want to have to reach like all the way up. Oh man, that's way nicer. Oh, no, now I'm making myself do this. So you have the underground cave system. That sounds like it's probably going to be my favorite. I just love underground cave stuff. All right, and then we have when you come across landmarks in these various locations, you're going to have the opportunity for descriptors and objects. This is great. And then you have a totally different action and theme table for the landmark function. So that's pretty cool. Now we get into, okay, this is cool. This is a section you are not going to see. This is going to be a great piece of art right there. This is a section that you are not going to see as much in other games because of this being an homage to an MMO RPG. We've got gathering and crafting. So literally the ability to find ingredients and use them to create food and or items. So you are, in each hex, you're able to look for minerals and alchemical ingredients, and this gives you all of the details and the general procedures for crafting things and how that works, and what type of things that you need in order to craft those various stuff and things, where you get the blueprints, how to do cooking. I do love that it says, like, making a meal with the remains of an undead creature is probably not a good idea. Some things are inedible. But then, like, the aberration ingredients table is filled with wonderfully non-edible sounding things like luminous glands and tainted flesh. Yum! All right. So your various ingredients. And then we have... Oh, wait. No! That's it. That's right. This is where we stop. This is just a little placeholder. There's lots of stuff that you're not seeing here because what this book is missing, if you noticed that you did not see anything on, you know what? Hold on a second. I think I can come back on the screen now. So if you found yourself thinking, where's the monsters? There's going to be a comprehensive bestiary that's going to be appearing. I mean, I don't know if you noticed all those different rift location types and areas in the open land of this universe. He had, you know, possible encounters with tons of different monsters in there. So there's going to be a comprehensive bestiary. The equipment stuff isn't in there yet. And if you were like me and you're looking at the combat section and saying, well, how does combat work? Like, I see how I hit them, but how do they hit me? That's going to be included as part of the bestiary. So all that information is going to be upcoming. So that's it. We have seen it. This is your first taste of Riftbreakers Second Edition by Alex T. Stay tuned. The Kickstarter is going to be coming up here soon, and I will leave links in the comments below for his website when the Kickstarter starts. I will also make sure to include a link in the description to that Kickstarter. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask them over there on the Kickstarter. I'm probably not the best person since I am not Alex. But if you do want to make any comments below, feel free to do so. I will answer them if I can, or I will point you in the direction that you need. Thank you for tuning in. Be sure to keep an eye on Kickstarter for Riftbreakers from Black Oath Games. This is Brian. Carry on with courage. I'll see you on the next one. Take care, guys. Bye.